Don't press live just yet because I'm going to get up our Facebook and YouTube so I can see comments. Okay. All right, hello. Got everything going here for a quick little live stream. This is a quick discussion about the winter weather we've got coming up here around the Mid-South over the next couple of days. It's going to be a pretty widespread impact. We're going to see a lot of travel issues around the area as well. So, of course, we're streaming this right now on YouTube and on our app and on Facebook Live as well. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, thank you so much. We do have comments open on Facebook, so you can ask me any questions about this winter storm. I'll keep an eye on it right here in front of me over the next few minutes just to see whatever questions you have through the forecast. If I miss it, I'll wrap back around. I'll be sure to do that by the end of the broadcast here. But let's dive into it real quick. Of course, we'll start things off. We're talking about a winter storm warning that's in effect across the entire viewing area and really across much of the Mid-South and even into parts of North Texas. This is a really wide-reaching storm system that's developing now across parts of northern Mexico. So you can see we've got some of the winter weather advisories all the way back through West Texas, all the way up to our area. And then the winter storm watches go all the way out to the Charlotte area there in the Carolinas. So pretty wide-reaching impacts with this system. And of course, we are looking at several inches of snow here in the Mid-South. Now, the thing is, we're going to look at the northern side of the viewing area is going to be almost entirely snow. So that's not going to be much of an issue for that part of the forecast. The issue is going to be on the southern end. We've got that mix of rain and snow, sleet, freezing rain, all of the precipitation types you get in a winter weather system. That's going to be the main issue of just deciding how much snow we will see. It's a really tricky forecast. Honestly, it's what gets me really enthralled with winter weather forecasting, is getting that very nuanced level of the forecast. But I'll quit being such a nerd here, and we'll get to the forecast real quick. Once again, if you're joining us on Facebook Live, pop into chat, say hello, let me know where you're watching from, and we'll get to some of the details of where you, how much snow you'll see in your area. So right now, satellite and radar, pretty quiet, nothing on radar showing up. We've had some flurries over the last few days. It's been a little bit of that taste of winter that we haven't really seen much of, aside from a couple of cold snaps. We've been really quiet for winter weather here around the area. But let's look here at the forecast. We've, of course, got a low pressure developing in the Gulf of Mexico. That's the surface feature that's happening. In the upper levels, there's an upper level low that's coming in from the desert southwest. I'll get my pointer out. It's starting around here right now, and you can sort of see over the next space here, we've got that northwest flow, or northeastern flow coming around the area. So that's where the jet stream is. That's providing the upper level support for this surface low down here around the Gulf of Mexico. So this is paused around 7 o'clock tomorrow evening after sunset. We're starting to see more of that moisture coming across Arkansas, moving into our area. That surface low is going to have some pretty deep moisture to deal with along the Gulf of Mexico. So that's going to bring maybe some thunderstorms around the I-10 corridor. North of I-20, though, is where we see the snowfall, and that's going to be our viewing area. This particular model, though, I'm going to just rewind a couple pause points here. This model has that rain-snow transition completely south of our viewing area. This model, I think, is a bit on the cold side. I think it's too cold. So got to be aware of some of the nuances with some of these models. And of course, it wraps everything up by Friday afternoon. Some models make some flurries lingering around the area. Here's one model's run of snow. This one I think is a little too bold and a little too south. Another one, the GFS, this is the American model. It's also too bold and also a bit on the south side. One caveat with I'll go back to that last one. This includes both snow and sleet as all snow. So if it says 10 inches, half of that could be sleet, and we wind up with a few inches of snow and only about a half inch of sleet. Of course, sleet is snow that has melted and refrozen. So that really eats into the total amount of snow we see by the end of the forecast. We'll look at some of those details in just a moment. But let's go hour by hour. Tomorrow evening, this nuance with this model, it's a little wet, so we're not seeing a downpour of rain all afternoon, but we will see maybe some misty showers, some pretty gloomy skies there early before things get started. By Thursday evening, we start to see into our Arkansas counties a little bit more chance for snow to develop. Then we start getting back below that freezing mark, and we'll start to transition everything over to snow around the area, or at least some amount of frozen precipitation. Now, this model, it's sort of in the middle of the warmest to the coolest models out there. And it's bringing that rain-snow line into some of our southern viewing area around northern Mississippi. So that could lead to a reduction in snowfall. We'll still have snow in these areas, but it's not going to be quite as much as what we were looking at maybe 2-3 days ago. That's why you always got to keep checking back here for the latest forecast. I'm checking the Facebook comments. We've got Mindy from Bartlett coming in. We've got CJ from Winona, Mississippi. We're looking at, we'll look at the totals here in just a minute, but I appreciate you guys checking in here. Here's a look at the snow chances hour by hour tomorrow. 7 p.m. we might see an early flurry. If some of that rain we were looking at does get into some cold air and comes down as some flurries, that wouldn't surprise me, but the best chance of snow comes after midnight tomorrow. That's when we're really going to switch things over and get some cold weather in the area. Here's a brief summary of what we're going to see around the area. North of I-40, pretty much guaranteed you're not going to see anything but snow, so that's going to be good news for you. It's really where it gets tricky down to some of our southern viewing area from Phillips County, Arkansas, through Coahoma, Mississippi, all the way out through Lafayette County, there, Oxford. That's where we've got the transition of rain, snow, sleet, perhaps all the way as far north as Tate County. I hesitate to say into DeSoto County. That's pushing it. But the thing is, whenever you've got winter storms like this in the south, you've got to be very aware of the warm air advection. Whenever we're pushing in warm air, it can take over a system pretty quickly, and that's something the models, excuse me, that's something the models struggle with. Give me a second here, clear my throat. Thank you. So, of course, whenever we've got warm air in a winter storm like this, it can cause a lot of headaches, and it can really change up the forecast. But this is what meteorologist Corey Smith, meteorologist Trevor Burchett, and myself have all been poring over the last 36 hours or so. It's our hand-drawn forecast. Because the thing is, each one of these 4 models I've shown you now has something a little bit wrong. All those nuances I was talking about, of it, including the sleet and the snow, or putting too much warm air in. All of those minor errors we've got to account for in what we expect will happen. So, of course, there's always going to be error within a forecast. That's why we've got these ranges. We're not going to say you're going to have 2.3 inches of snow, because that's near impossible to pin down. But okay, main takeaway, Memphis, we've got 4 to 6 inches on the way, I'm pretty sure. That pocket of purple you see, that's the area we think has the best chance of seeing a potential for upwards of 6 inches. It's not going to be very widespread. The thing is, it's going to be very localized. Whenever you have a rainstorm, just this last weekend we had a lot of rain. We had a burst of heavy rain, and then it kind of quieted down. And then you have another downpour, and then it was just a light drizzle. That's what we've got to deal with. Some of those heavy downpours of snow might rapidly jump our snow totals in one part of a neighborhood. It's not going to be the whole town sees that. It's just going to be where those brief downbursts of snow start to overlap and pile up more and more, and that's where we could see that chance for upwards of 6 inches. I don't think we'll get to the 8-9 inch range that some models are trying to kick out. I think that is too high. The thing is, we're holding at the 30-degree mark for much of these storms. So it's going to be very wet and sticky snow. This is very similar to what we normally see here in the Mid-South. But if you remember last year, last January, when we had the major winter storm here, of course I wasn't here, but I've done a lot of research to see what happened with that storm. It was incredibly cold. We had single digits. Even some places were getting below 0. So that was a very dry and powdery and fluffy snow. That doesn't really compact into a snowball very easily. But that takes just a little bit of moisture and makes it into a lot of snow. This one is taking a little bit of moisture and it's going to make it into some snow, don't get me wrong, but that's also going to be very heavy and it will start to compact. So if it falls and you go out, you scrape off 2 inches. You go off, you scrape off 2 inches. You go out a third time, you scrape off 2 more inches. That sums to 6 inches of snowfall. But if you let it all fall, it might only be 5 just because of the weight of the water within the snow is going to start to compact that snow total. So that's why we've got these error bars. I know I'm going on a pretty big tangent here, but get back to the numbers here. Of course, Clarksdale, that's where we're a little uncertain of how much snow, how much sleet, how much freezing drizzle. I don't think we'll see much in the way of dangerous freezing rain, so that's some good news. But you're right there on the cusp of the warmer air, so that's where we have a little more uncertainty. For Clarksdale, out to Oxford, once you get up to Tunica, Holly Springs in northern Mississippi, that's where we're looking about 4 to 6 inches, locally higher, of course. It's running out of steam as it pushes east. So I'll get my marker out here. Notice how we've got this big band here in Arkansas. I think parts of Arkansas could see 8 inches. That's just outside of our viewing area, so we're not really addressing that much. But we see that 4 to 6 inch line that really drops off there, 3 to 5 for Bolivar and Corinth. We're just running out of moisture as it pushes back to the east. Truman, Arkansas, you're a little too far north. Dyersburg, Covington, we're looking around the 3 to 5 inch range in those areas. Of course, like I said, that sharp drop off is going to be the major change that we see with how much snow we could get from the system. So, like I said, Memphis, 4 to 6 inches. When we call it a bust, that means we did not see something and it just went incredibly wrong and we got it wrong. That's what we're looking at for a 1 to 2 inch range. That's what we think would be a bust. The 3 to 4 inch range, I think, is on the low side. It's within the outer possibilities. I might even put 1 to 3 would be a bust for this forecast. But the boom, the overperforming system, would be if we get that heavy rain band, or snow band, I should say, right over Memphis. That would be 6 to 8 inches. We'll see what happens with that. But of course, all of this nerdiness to say it's going to be one of the biggest snowstorms we've seen in the last several years. As far as totals, as far as travel impact, I don't think we'll see quite as much of the deep freeze impacts as we saw last year. Busted pipes are not going to be quite nearly as much of an issue, nor are the power outages. So that's some good news. But Thursday night, through the day Friday, we're going to have the main portion of the snowstorm coming through the area, and that's when we're going to have the impacts. The snow, of course, 4 to 6 inches. It's going to be great for making snowmen or having a good snowball fight, but it's not going to be great for the roads. The thing with this wet and heavy snow is it turns to slop and slush very, very quickly. So once you get a few people, a few brave souls out on the roads are going to be just an absolute mess. So if you don't have to go out on Friday, try to stay home. I have to go out on Friday and I have to get here to work. So hopefully the roads will be kind to me. But of course, be very cautious. Know your comfort level, of course. I know it's not very common for us to have a ton of snow here in the Mid-South. I've lived in the Midwest and the mountains for about 7 years or so now, so I've gotten used to it. It's not something we get used to here in the Mid-South very often, so take it easy. Whenever you are driving in snow, just give you some tips here. You want to just, of course, keep both hands on the wheel and reduce that speed. Go half the speed limit is a good, just a safe measure for that. Of course, we're starting to see the chance for that sloppy mess. It does reduce your traction, so of course, increasing that following distance, increasing your stopping time, all good ways to drive carefully in snowfall. Of course, driving in snow is never a guarantee of being safe, but you can make yourself a little more cautious and set yourself up for a better chance of arriving at your destination. Here's the thing, tonight we're dropping back down to 22 degrees, so the ground temperatures are going to be very, very cold. So that's one of the things that we do know is we're going to see it stick on contact. Sometimes we're very warm leading up to a snow event and it melts the first few hours of the snowfall. I think we're going to start the accumulations almost immediately with those ground temperatures. Tomorrow we will get up into the 30s there in the afternoon. But we've got a few more comments here on Facebook I want to go through. I've seen a few people commenting. Let's see here. Lovely Shores asking about OB, Mississippi. Is that a town? Please bear with me. I'm still getting used to some of the locations around here. So, Mississippi. Is that a Olive Branch? That makes sense. Olive Branch is going to be right here in the 4 to 6 inch range, I think. We'll likely see we'll likely see the chance for those pockets of heavy snow in your area there in DeSoto County. Could see upwards of 6 inches. It's not a guarantee, but it's within the realm of possibilities. I think the 4 to 6 inch range, again, DeSoto County, Olive Branch. Yes, Sandy, thank you for that. Winona, Mississippi, or Grenada, Mississippi. Let me check which county that is in. Winona, Mississippi. All right, let's see here. Montgomery County. Ooh, that is just outside of our viewing area, but I do have at least a loose guess on some of that. So that is pretty far south of our viewing area. At this point, I'm going to have to go over to a different model here because I didn't quite make it that far south. But I think if you're all the way down to Grenada, I think you're probably in the 1 to 2 inch range. You're going to be seeing that encroachment of the moisture. I'll go back to this one over here. You see how we've got that initial range of snowfall. I hit the wrong button. That far south, we're probably not going to see much for accumulation. Let me just get back to that model. 1 moment, please. See, this is something you don't see behind the scenes whenever we're getting ready for on air. I'm going through, I'm clicking all these buttons. It's usually a mad dash to get everything in order, going back and forth between them. Oh, I know, I'm using the wrong keyboard. Here we go. All right, a little farther south here to, it's not labeled on here because it's a pre-built map rather than an interactive map, but your Grenada area, right around in here, you've got that ice mix potential, so you might see some sleet, maybe a glaze of freezing rain. CJ Brown, that's your area there. Collierville. Season Watkins asking what time will it start in Collierville. So we'll approximate that with Memphis by this map here. So Friday around midnight, well, I've got to reload this because I changed the map view. I'd say probably around midnight is our early chance of seeing snow beginning in the Collierville area. We might see that transition from rain to snow around the 11 to 2 a.m. time frame, I think is the bookend for that. Season Watkins, hopefully that answers your question there. Olive Branch already talked about. Atoka, Faye Smith asking about Atoka. Let me find Atoka real quick. Once again, I've only been here since May. I'm still learning where all of the small towns are. I've got all the counties down. I've done a bunch of county quizzes. Atoka, Tennessee. What are we looking at for Atoka? Okay, that's just north of the Memphis area. I would probably say 3 to 5, if not the 4 to 6 in that region. Just up there in northern Shelby County, up towards Tipton County. Panola County, someone asking is about Panola County. That's in the tough spot. So that's where we're looking at the anywhere from 2 to 5 inch range, I'd say. So that's where, if you're on the southern side of Panola County, I'd say maybe 1 to 3. Once you get up to the northern side, that's where we're looking around 2 to 4, maybe 5 pockets. It's going to be really tough to see where exactly that is. Sandy's saying near Millington. Okay, so yeah, Millington right here, right there in Shelby County. So Faye, Sandy, appreciate y'all being in chat with us here. Of course, want to wrap things up here shortly. If there's anyone else who has any final questions about the forecast, go ahead and pop them in here to the Facebook discussion. But while you do that, I'm going to take you up to a couple of promo graphics for us. Of course, if you don't already have it, you want to have the ABC24 mobile app on your excuse me, got too many things in my head tonight, on your iPhone, on your Android device. You can, of course, download this, text app to 901-321-7520. Don't worry about texting us. Just download it in your App Store or your Google Play Store. That'll be a good way to join that. If you're already on Facebook, great. Hope you are already part of our ABC24 Weather Watchers group. This is what we use for some of our weather photos of the day. It's been pretty quiet weather lately, so we haven't had a lot of weather photos, but I'm really hopeful that we get a ton of good snow pictures once we get all the snow coming in. So if you're not already a part of it, once the Facebook Live is ended, go ahead and drop over there to ABC24 Weather Watchers. I'll approve your request to join. I'll have that open right here in front of me just to make sure that everyone can get in. In fact, I actually have a notification. Approve. Someone already joined. Thank you. All right, so that's pretty much a wrap. It's 7:30 now. We've got a few people helping out, getting this live stream going who need to get on break before we wrap things up this evening. But once again, I appreciate you for jumping into our Facebook Live, to our YouTube Live. If you're already watching on the ABC24 mobile app, kudos to you. We appreciate you having that on your phone. Of course, we're going to be tracking this the next 36 hours as we're leading up to this event. Friday is going to be a pretty big mess around the Mid-South, so we don't see these kind of snow totals very often. Whenever we do, it can be a pretty big impact. Of course, I grew up in Charlotte, so it's pretty similar. We can't plow the roads until everything's really clear, and of course, interstates are going to be the first things addressed, then state highways, state routes, then your major city routes, then your neighborhoods. So if you're in a pretty set back suburban area, it's probably going to be a while before your roads get cleared. So be patient. Don't bum rush all of the grocery stores. You don't need to be eating soggy milk bread over the next few days. Whatever you need for 3 days' time, that's all you need to buy. I know last year with the power outages we had around the Mid-South because of the extreme cold, because some of the icing we had, a lot of people were without power for several days. I really doubt, it is MLGW, but I really doubt that we're going to see as widespread of power outages as we did last time. And of course, water outages, much less likely, because let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. That's one thing I skipped. We're not looking at temperatures dropping down into the single digits like they did last year. So we're dropping down to 22 tonight, 23 on Saturday. That is cold. That's not cold enough for us to have the widespread pipes bursting. Of course, if you have a sink or an outdoor faucet on one of those exterior walls of your house, make sure that's insulated. Make sure your cabinet doors are open. You can get some heat circulating under there. Dripping faucets can help as well. We just did a verify about that tonight. But after this, we've got some freeze-thaw cycles coming through as well. We're warming above freezing, dropping below freezing at night. So we'll have a slow meltdown, I think, over the next several days. But this is the only snowstorm we really have in the forecast. With that, no one else is here in the Facebook comments with any more questions. So we appreciate you being here with us on ABC 24. And of course, CW30 will be broadcasting again tonight at 9. I'll probably make a little bit of some tweaks to this forecast, but we're feeling more confident with this, this forecast as we're getting a little bit closer to the event. So for all of us here at ABC 24, we appreciate you being on our Facebook Live this evening. Trevor Burchett will be back in tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Of course, I've got the 9 and 10 this evening. We're going to have team coverage as this this winter storm event unfolds. Once again, I'm Meteorologist Kit Thomas. Y'all have a good night.